I am Romeo. I think most of you know me. I have been coming here to Ridge Community since 2010. I was born in a small town, in a small province in the small country of the Philippines. My father was a poor tailor. They were not devout Catholics. They were just practically nominal. They didn't even go faithfully to the Sunday Mass. Every now and then probably they would go there during Christmas. I learned my Catholic faith from school. I went to a Catholic school from elementary through high school. In our school we were taught apologetics, the case for defending the Catholic Church. And I was good at it, very good at it. From high school I went on to college. I was blessed by God. I earned a scholarship. I belonged to the top 100 in the national test, and I was given all expenses paid, free, including allowances and lodging and books and transportation from the school. And there I met the Christian group. You know, something about this group, I found them more natural, more honest. I felt easier with them. I mean, I felt more comfortable with them. I felt less duplicity in the way they related with me. And so they became my friends, and I spent a lot of time studying the Word with them. But then, as I mentioned earlier, I learned my Catholic faith very well, and I am not about to be cajoled into renouncing my Catholic faith. No, not that time yet. I cannot be threatened by eternal damnation, you know, or stuff like that. The odd thing is, one time during a summer camp, I joined them in a summer camp, and the missionary on the final night challenged the group. They asked anyone willing to commit to proclaim the gospel throughout the world. If a day would come that we feel that call, then would we rise up? Would we accept the call? Would we go out into the world and share the gospel to everyone who needs it? The surprising thing, I haven't really bowed down at that point yet. I haven't accepted Christ. And yet, I felt deep in my heart the tug. And I rose and I said, yes, when the time comes and I feel that call, I will go out into the world and proclaim the gospel to all nations. How I came to know the Lord was not at that time yet. It was still some time later, because during that time, nationalism and student activism was a worldwide phenomenon. And so I became part of the nationalist movement, eventually the socialist movement. And it came to the point that I actually wanted to join the Communist Party, wanted to go to the hills, bear arms, you know, fight the government, and establish a different order, a different regime, a socialist regime. And so that summer, there came a summer when I was just about to go to the hills. But for whatever reason, I shared this with my younger sister, Ligaya. Ligaya is my younger sister. I brought her to the university. I saw her through college, and she also became a teacher in that university. She became a Christian ahead of me, though, through the same Christian group. And she was so concerned about what's going on in my heart and in my mind and in my decision. She asked the Christian group to pray for me. And that summer too, for whatever reason I cannot explain, I just felt the urge to ask my friends in the Christian group to pray for me. I mean, I said to them I had a very, very serious decision to make that could really change the course of my life. And I said, I want your prayers. I want you to please pray that I make the right decision. That summer, things started to become different. I started to see the flaws in the nationalist movement, in the Communist Party. I realized that all these were all human crafted ideologies. Democracy was a lot better. The real power comes from the voice of the people through their exercise of their freedom to vote. Whereas the Communist Party, the power resides in the barrel of the gun. Now, that is something that really shook me, made me even more alienated. Come July of 1977, I found myself not in the hills, not bearing arms, but inside my room in the dormitory of the Mindanao State University where I was teaching, bereft of a cause to live and die for, disillusioned. It was that night, one night when I was alone, when I remembered the gospel, through the memories of all those times that I spent with the Christian group. And Christ spoke to me. She reminded me of those times when we were talking about how He died for me, how He came to set me free, how He came to shed His life so that I can be reconciled to God. And so that night, I bowed my head, somewhat arrogant actually, because what I did pray then is a very simple prayer. I said, okay, Lord, let me try you. The surprising thing is that, well, the Lord accepted that and worked on that. The kernel of bowing down my head and accepting Him into my life, even in that way, was something that He started working upon. I wake up the following days wanting to know Him more, reading the Bible, discovering books of every kind about faith, about Christ, what He did. I read C.S. Lewis, I read Philip Yancey, I read Packer, J.F. Packer, Christian writers all. I started to scour and devour their thoughts. And then I realized, brother, the depth of the meaning of the sacrifice on the cross. I was, in a way, arrogant. And I said, let me try it out. No, it has to be, I'm sorry, forgive me for my sins. Here I am. And I'm sorry, I'm a very affected person. When I remember that night, I still in thoughts. It changed my life. It changed everything. I really am very grateful for that time in college. When I met this Christian group, a group of Christians who stood by for me and with me through the years, they became good friends. Despite my arrogance, despite my being very brash, and yet they were there. They shared. They were with me, and even now, actually, they are still with me. I am really grateful for that because it changed my life. It led me into becoming the person that I am now.